Alright, hey there everyone. So this is going to be a very quick video showing y'all how to make a B&M style hyperhill in FVD. Now, I'll also give a quick overview of FVD as this is my first video really on it, aside from showing one or two of the quick speed build creations I've done. This ride will come up in another video soon, but for now, let's go to demo 2. We'll go to edit, and now the first thing we're going to do is just add a straight section. We'll see, it's extremely short. That doesn't exactly matter right now. We're gonna get the speed going up to just like 50, and then we can make the length something like maybe 200, right? Nothing crazy. This is simulating a launch or the rest of the layout going into what will be our hyperhill starting right over here. So now we'll get to this graph stuff down here by adding a force section, and what we're going to go into is when we click one of the lines, like we've got blue, red, and green, and I'll explain what those mean in just a second. You've got your blue, red, and green lines. When we click one of them, now we see some controls in the transition editor. So blue is going to be your positive and negative forces, so pushing you into the seat, pulling you out of the seat, like airtime, right? And then we're going to have red, which is going to be the roll rate per second. So we're going to go down here, and now we're looking at like the track spikes up to 100 degrees of roll per second and then back down to 0. So if we were to theoretically just append here and add some more to both of these, then we can see how it banks and now the roll is constant. So let's just undo that, or actually, what you just saw was me having to scroll all of these up to the same little dashed line to generate the track. This shows at what time the track stops generating. This is going to be a little annoying when we create a B&M hyperhill. So what we can do is for the roll and the laterals, we can check dynamic. And oh yes, laterals. This guy, here, let me put this back to 0 so you can see it better. So the green laterals will control the left and right forces you feel. So like turning, all that good stuff. And now, to make our B&M hyperhill, first we need to simulate maybe coming off a drop or the rest of the layout. So we're just going to, and I haven't done this before with a 50 mile an entrance speed or building using a cubic. I normally would just come off the rest of the layout. So we have a cubic function, we're on the positive and negative G's, and we're going to bring the riders all the way up to 3 G's by typing a 2 here. Now why do we not type a 3? Well, gravity is 1 G. We're starting at 1 G. To bring them up to 3, we need to add 2. So that was okay. And now what we can do is, here's the easy part. We're going to hit append twice, and all of a sudden we have a loop that would kill riders and break the trains. That's not what we want. So the next part we need, any airtime hill needs some airtime. We're going to go and drop this maybe -3, and that's bringing us to 0 G's. Let's go -3.6. So we're just a little bit under 0 G's. So we're seeing our blue positive force graph dropping below the 0 axes. And note that the roll 0 and then the positive, negative, lateral, and up and down forces have different 0 heights. So this is starting to look like just a traditional airtime hill, maybe with a sharp peak. The way we get this to look more like a B&M is we're going to crank this time way up. And this seems counterintuitive, but what we can now do to get that nice floater effect is, let's make this 3.2, is we can go ahead and set our center to be the same value as our time duration of the transition from positive to maximum airtime. So what this has effectively done, center, when I scroll my mouse wheel forward in this case, we can see the center of the graph is actually moving, and we're going to go back down to -3.2. Perfect. So you want it to be stopping. The green section shows that this piecewise segment of the force curve that I've highlighted is acting upon the green segment, and now when I click to the next, we can see it's acting here. We're literally going to take this 1.8, -3.2, 3.2, and we're going to do the exact same thing over here. Right now, this would plunge us into the bottom of the earth, but I don't think we want that. So 1.8. and we'll go 3.2, and this is too early of a curve out because we haven't changed our center yet. Now we're going to push our center to 3.2, and we're looking pretty good. So if I append it out of that, we can see that is looking a lot like a B&M airtime hill. And you can, play with some of these variables, particularly the center in the first one, to change how steep your entrance is. So steeper, shallower, maybe you're looking for a speed hill. And then you can play with these guys, centers, time durations, all that good stuff to get a variety of hills. And one other thing I'd like to mention, when we have a hill like this, it is extremely easy to create a 0G roll. So let's go ahead and do that. And that's when the hill will twist you upside down at the top and the roll direction remains the same throughout. It's not a stall. But we can uncheck dynamic here. We can pull this back and we can see the track is stopping generation. And then we'll make this a bit longer. So the top of the hill, append, and click dynamic end. So now we have 3 segments. One that goes right until we start really transitioning down into negatives. Another that'll go till we start transitioning back to positives, and one more 0 roll piece. And now what we're going to do is we see this is quartic. We could maybe make it a quartic, but I like to sometimes use plateau for my roll. So we have a 3-second time, and let's just bump this all the way up to like 100, and we'll see what happens. We're starting to get something of a dive loop because we don't exactly have enough roll to bring us all the way through. And if we made it 180, we are seeing we're getting a 0G roll, but it's a little tight, and we would still need more to bring us back straight. And anything above 180 degrees per second of roll is gonna be a little much on passengers. So how do we fix this? Well, first off, we can start it a little earlier, and we can make it go for a little longer. Make it go for a little longer, and now we see we're getting some funky stuff. If you're into that, go for it. But we bring our roll back down to a sane level, and we're starting to see we're getting a decent 0G. And the reason I wanted to show a 0G is because we have center, which we just played with in the other one, but this can also allow us to play with tension. So if we boost the tension up, that means we're getting to our maximum roll rate faster, which means, since this is the derivative of roll position is roll rate, it means we're actually going to be rolling more if we get to the roll rate faster. This is too much tension, of course, but by playing with tension and the time in which our roll is occurring, we can have a longer, more drawn out, floatier roll. And this is looking okay, but you may also want a slightly shallower entrance. And now we're starting to look at a kind of nice B&M 0G roll. Alright, I hope you all enjoyed. That was not the 2 minutes I'd hoped to keep it at. But if you learned something, leave a like, all that stuff. Maybe I've earned it. If I haven't, oh well. And I hope you all come back for the next one. See you later.